through the eyes of a traveler. Why the NC750X? Why any bike? The truth is, we review bikes so we can help others, and also it's a realization to ourselves how good or bad the bike is. Often we ride without thought, but when we look at our own machine and we give it an appraisal, either for yourself or for our own benefit, you kind of realize how good or bad a bike is. So let's begin. NC750X. There are those who ask the question, why would anybody take the NC750X as a bike, as a 750 bike, which is mostly slower than most other 750s out there? And that's a good question, and hopefully today I'll answer that. But first, let's show you some of the looks and the beauty of the 750. Whilst you're looking at the 750, let me tell you what I think of the 750. Now, this is my second 750X, and the X would imply it's a adventure bike. But the truth is, it's more commuter than adventure, but it is a great commuter, a long distance commuter. And recently I took this on a 9-day tour to extend the Wales 360 to a Wales 1000. So I travelled north, south, east, west, mid Wales over 9 days, committing to 1,000 miles, 1,600 kilometers. This bike survived the battering of the rain, the tough terrain, and to be brutally honest, I don't think any adventure bike would have been any better than this. So let's start with the positives, and then at the end I'll share the negatives. The positives. This is a novel bike in more ways than one. It's DCT if you want to go for dual clutch transmission, or you can go for the standard manual. But the DCT makes this into an automatic bike, a Tiptronic bike, and there aren't many bikes out there. Honda is the pioneer, the leader in this technology, with I think only Yamaha doing a semi-automatic on the large muscle XJR 1300. But otherwise, nobody else does this. Another novelty is that it has a handbrake. Now, I'm sure there are other bikes that have handbrakes. I've yet to see one, but this one definitely has a handbrake, and it is very useful. You put the handbrake on, you don't have to worry about how you parked it on a hill, and also it just gives you that extra benefit in terms of security. Other novelties that this offers, its weight distribution. The petrol tank is at the rear, the pillion seat, under the pillion seat rather, and it spreads the weight of the fuel to the middle of the bike. At the front, where you would expect a tank, it's actually a 22-litre storage unit, which is perfect for things like your helmet or food or anything else that you want to carry. In fact, I wanted to put a USB charger port on this bike, but I don't need to. I carry a charger pack, drop it in the front compartment, and a cable comes out and charges the phone. Other benefits that you get from this bike. Now, like I said, it's a commuter bike, but it does have an X, and there is, to a degree, an element of adventure to this bike. It's designed in such a way that it's nimble. It feels extremely light compared to other bikes. The weight is lower down, so to be frank, even though it is a commuter bike, it feels and looks like an adventure bike. And to be honest, most adventure bikes can't do much more than this. So I keep calling it a commuter bike, but maybe I need to correct my definition of this bike. I would now like to add, this is a semi-adventure, semi-commuter bike. A partnership between commuting and adventure. The great thing about this bike though, bringing back the commuter element, is this. It's economy, it's efficiency. This, when I ride it as rough as I can, does still 75 miles to the gallon, and if I finesse the throttle, then I have been known to even get as high as 88 miles to the gallon. That's pretty impressive for a 750 cc motorcycle, I'm kind of getting the mileage you'd get from a 125. Wow, that's definitely something to shout out about. Anyway, I only point that out because petrol prices have gone through the roof, and I think anything that gives you this kind of economy deserves the thumbs up, don't you think? Of course, because this is fuel efficient and its sprocket arrangement, this doesn't burn rubber. It's not a sports bike, so let's not confuse it as one. A lot of people comment that this is a 750, but it just doesn't have the power. Well, it serves its purpose so well, it's not supposed to be a sports bike, and that's something that I think people need to recognize. It still has absolutely sufficient power to overtake any car on the road. In fact, if you use the Tiptronic function on the DCT and you drop the gears earlier than needs be, it just gives you that extra oomph, power, torque, speed, aggression that you need to make this bike feel as though it is a lot faster than it naturally would be if you just changed gears normally. Now, one other benefit that you do get from the DCT version is that the changing of the gears is by flick of a switch, so it literally is instantaneous, and that Tiptronic function allows you great engine braking whenever you need it, especially around bends. Most motorcycles you have to change the gear with the clutch and your foot, and that does take time. It doesn't take much time, but there is a time lag. With this bike, the Tiptronic function gives you no time lag at all, which means you can go into the bends a lot quicker and use engine braking to stop or slow down a lot faster. Final positive is that it has a color TFT cluster meter, and the riding modes are 4 in number, 1 in economy and 3 for sports. Economy seems to change the gears very quickly, but the sports does allow a little more time in each gear. Sports 1 is adequate for me. Sports 3 does take this bike to another level and makes it feel a lot more sporty as you're in each gear for a lot longer. Now for the negatives, but remember, before I finish in concluding, I will put some spec sheets on the screen so you can see the nitty-gritty that some people do enjoy reading up on. But let's get back to the negatives. And the one negative, really, there is only one that is prime, and that is its forks. The forks, unfortunately, on both bikes that I've had problems. 2 of them have had seal issues, so oil would leak from the seals, and one of them rusted and there was pitting on the fork. Now I've repaired both, and touch wood, nothing has gone wrong on this particular NC750, and I hope it doesn't. But other than that, the other negative, which is me being pedantic, and you'll know I put this on all my reviews, I think most motorcycle companies should offer a USB charging port. This doesn't, and it's a shame. And that's about it, really. I don't have any other negatives to discuss, really. Maybe you can add that the standard stock windscreen is too short. This one I'm using is an add-on, but other than that, it's pretty much a great bike. Now for the spec sheets. Thank you for your time and thank you for your patience. I hope you've enjoyed the review, and until next time, keep smiling, and for those on 2 wheels, ride safely.